Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. My name is Austin Brubaker. I'm going to be your host this afternoon, and it's going to be a fun show today. It's been a little bit of a while, so we're going to get a little bit of back to swing of things. I've been out of town for the past week and a half or so. Actually, been a pretty crazy past 2 weeks for traveling wise. I was in Beloit, Wisconsin. I had to drive several hours to Beloit and back to go watch the Great Lakes Loons. Was going to be my only chance to be able to go to Beloit. And then took a family trip down to Florida for a weekend last weekend, and then this past week I was actually in Milwaukee, had the opportunity to be able to see actually a Brewers Diamondbacks game, in which I got to see old friend Juan Murillo, former Dodgers prospect, got the chance to be able to see him. So it's been a little bit since I've had the opportunity to be able to talk some Los Angeles Dodgers, and things have been happening in the world of Dodgers baseball since I last was on Dodgers Daily. A couple of different things. One, the offense has been struggling as of late. We're going to be diving into some of that. We're going to be looking just at the offense a month into the season, just as a whole, both with the overall numbers as well as with some of the individual numbers, where there's some real concerns that we could have with some of these players, where some of the we can expect this to be realistically better. We're going to be diving into some of that. But where I want to go ahead and start off a little bit of the show is where a lot of different shows have been starting out today. I during the course of work, been listening to several different podcasts as I've been getting some of my work done, and a lot of the conversation has been about Justin Wrobleski. That's where I want to start off today and talk a little bit about him, because he is such a fascinating statistical case for us to be able to examine, and perhaps there are some things that we are excited about. There are perhaps some things that we should be potentially concerned about with Justin Wrobleski, and it goes deeper than just the strikeouts. We're going to be doing into that. Thanks for tuning in to the B part of the show. If you have any questions, any things that you wanting me to go ahead and review, any questions that you guys have, be more than happy to be able to do it as best I possibly can. I've got the next hour or so blocked off to be able to do this show, so we're going to be trying to get through as much information as we possibly can. So, to start this off with Justin Wrobleski, I actually don't want to initially start off with Wrobleski, because Wrobleski honestly has been awesome. 1.25 ERA. We'll dive into some of the numbers in just a second. But I want to start off with the overall grand picture of where the Dodgers pitching staff is as a whole. And we'll get into some of the news. For example, Brock Stewart has a locker with the Los Angeles Dodgers, very likely going to be activated sometime this week. We're not going to be talking about that. Let's stick to the starting rotation, because big picture type of things, Blake Snell is coming back. And so a lot of the questions and discussions are, when Blake Snell comes back, whose spot does he take within the rotation, assuming health for everybody? And again, this is one of the assumptions that we can make when having these conversations, but not something that we can 100% completely confirm to be true, is the health of the Dodgers starting pitchers, because there is a lot of different times, and this is not just with the Dodgers, but the teams across Major League Baseball, where somebody is coming back to be healthy, and then somebody else that was completely unexpected goes on the IL, either to deal with some of the issues that they have been having, or maybe they're a little bit more injured than what we had anticipated. So, assuming that that is not the case, the Dodgers would have 7 starting pitchers in the mix. That is, once Blake Snell is back, Blake Snell, they would have Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Those 4 have to be on the major leagues if they are healthy. And then you have 3, and this is the topic of conversation. You have Roki Sasaki, Justin Wrobleski, and Emmett Sheehan. Now, the reason why I don't want to initially start with Justin Wrobleski is because there has been a lot of conversation when it comes to this type of discussion about 2 particular players of who Dodgers fans think probably need to be go ahead and sent down or moved to a bullpen type of role. It's with Roki Sasaki, or it's been with Emmett Sheehan. The reason why, or the argument why it's with Roki Sasaki, has to do with his struggles. To be honest, with Roki Sasaki to start the season has been a struggle. ERA, 5.97 for him. It is a 5.79 expected ERA for Roki Sasaki. He did look better in his last start, meaning there have been signs of improvement, and this is something where the Dodgers organization seems to be making a very heavy investment in Roki Sasaki, making the adjustments at the major league level. And it's one of those things where a lot of Dodgers fans are kind of curious if the Dodgers would even consider moving him into Oklahoma City to continue with some of that progress, or if he just needs to continue to work it out at the major league level. I think that's probably the case, which leads to a lot of other Dodgers fans wanting to go ahead and potentially send down Emmett Sheehan, potentially because of some of the issues that we are seeing with Emmett Sheehan with his velocity. Sheehan's velocity has been down with his fastball this season. There is no question about that now at this point. It is down basically 1.5 miles per hour from what it was the previous season. And when you have a decrease in velocity of that extreme, that is going to impact your effectiveness. And we have seen Emmett Sheehan in his fastball get hit around quite a bit. If we're just pulling up some of his page, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull up Emmett Sheehan and his Baseball Savant page, and we'll go ahead and cut over to this in just a second as soon as this loads. Emmett Sheehan fastball has been hit around quite a bit throughout the course of this season. Velocity just down from what it was previously in the previous seasons. Let's go ahead and try to get this loaded. Yeah, we got it loaded right here. Actually, that's Justin Wrobleski. So Emmett Sheehan with his fastball velo that we have right here. Here it is. Fastball run value, -6. It is because if you go down here, his fastball is hitting, the opponents are hitting 412 with an 882 slugging percentage against Emmett Sheehan's fastball. It has went from a pitch that had a velo on it, if I can go ahead and find where the velo is, velo of 95.6 to a velo of 94. It's a decrease of 1.5 ticks on his fastball, and that has caused more of a hittable type of pitch for Emmett Sheehan. So reasonably, when Dodgers fans are seeing that with Emmett Sheehan, they have some concerns with what Sheehan has been doing. And no doubt, that is something that has been a concern. The mechanics, assumedly, probably a little bit out of whack, or at least that's the hope of what it is with Emmett Sheehan, rather than it being some type of injury type of thing with Sheehan. But the stuff just hasn't been quite there for an Emmett Sheehan. So the theory is for the Los Angeles Dodgers, when Blake Snell comes back, the Dodgers want to keep Roki Sasaki in the starting rotation. They potentially want to give a little bit of rest to potentially somebody like an Emmett Sheehan, make sure that he's right. Totally sound, totally logical. Looking at some of the stuff, you're saying, hey, we're seeing some decrease in effectiveness in some of the stuff. Some of the numbers look a little bit worrisome, and we're not exactly sure if this is in a good spot for Emmett Sheehan. What if the exact same thing was potentially true, but the player was having a ton of success with it? And that player is Justin Wrobleski. Now, first off, I want to provide this clarification with this. Justin Wrobleski has been effective. And I think part of the changes that Justin Wrobleski has been making, in part knowing what his role is in this starting rotation, which is eat up a ton of innings, try to go out there and get outs as best you possibly can. We are seeing him live up to that type of role. However, there are signs with Justin Wrobleski that are at least somewhat worrisome when it comes to future success for him, and it goes beyond just the swing and miss capabilities. It goes into the actual stuff that Justin Wrobleski has been showcasing at the major league level, to the point where you could see somewhat numerical similarities between Emmett Sheehan and Justin Wrobleski, just that Emmett Sheehan has been hit around quite a bit, whereas Justin Wrobleski has been able to limit the damage a little bit. Let me talk about what I'm showcasing with this. First off, we'll go to Justin Wrobleski with his Baseball Savant type of page. This is going to be the thing that people highlight the most out of it, is his strikeout percentage and his whiff percentage. Justin Wrobleski, 10.5% strikeout percentage. That is in the second percentile in Major League Baseball, with just a 12.5% whiff percentage. Essentially, he's not getting any swing and misses at all, which is not a bad thing because he's been able to limit some of the effectiveness. However, hard hit percentage, 45th percentile, 37th percentile for ground ball percentage. These are signs. And again, what I'm doing right now is trying to project long-term with Justin Wrobleski and then look at potentially some of the worrisome signs and talk about why certain people might be concerned long-term with Justin Wrobleski as a pitcher with this type of profile that he has right now. Then we'll get into some of the logistics of what we're talking about right here. These are some of the things that stand out pretty immediately when it comes to Wrobleski. He's just not getting a whole lot of swing and miss. The question that few people have been asking is why. Because if we go back to the 2025 season, that was not necessarily the case. Strikeout percentage was 27.1% for Justin Wrobleski. He got a lot of swing and miss. Yes, that was out of the bullpen that he was doing. But Justin Wrobleski has been a pitcher that has been more of a starter. And he has not been a 10% strikeout percentage or even a 15% strikeout percentage type of pitcher as a starter. So what exactly is potentially going on, and why is there a little bit less swing and miss? A couple of different factors. One, he is going ahead and absolutely throwing it massively inside of the zone. If you look at his zone percentage this year, among qualified pitchers, it's second in all of baseball. 54.7% zone percentage. This goes into the category of it's more intentional that Justin Wrobleski is not getting a whole lot of swing and miss because he's just going ahead and pounding the zone with pitches at a near 55% clip. And then if you're looking at him, if you look at his zone contact rate, he is top 4 in Major League Baseball right now. Opponents have a 92.3% zone contact percentage. Baseball Savant numbers in these against Justin Wrobleski to start this season. So you have somebody who's throwing it a lot inside of the zone and somebody who opponents are hitting quite a bit on pitches inside the zone. But why are they hitting pitches inside the zone at that type of degree? And this is where potentially, and the reason why I made some of the comparisons with Emmett Sheehan earlier and Justin Wrobleski is because I want to highlight at least somewhat of a thing to keep an eye out for and perhaps an explanation as to why Wrobleski is not getting as much swing and miss as he has in previous years. And it has to do with his velocity on some of his pitches that we were seeing earlier this season. If you go back to the 2025 regular season at the big league level, Justin Wrobleski had an average fastball, four-seam fastball, of 96.0 miles per hour. So far this year, it's down to 93.5. That is a dip of 2.5 miles per hour on his fastball, and that is led from a 44% whiff percentage on his fastball. Let's go ahead and get those numbers right. Yeah, 35.2%. Excuse me, 35.2% whiff on his fastball to a 11.2% whiff on his fastball. What about his slider? Slider was at near 88 miles per hour on that pitch. It's down to about 87.5. Now, the clear explanation that a lot of people would have with this is Wrobleski has been was in the bullpen at the major league level, can max out a little bit more. Now he's in a little bit of a starter type of role, which certainly is a fair evaluation until you go back into his minor league stats. Again, this is minor league 2025, where he was predominantly a starter. His fastball averaged about 95. His slider, about 88 in 2025 as a starter. In 2024, exact same thing that you see right here. Fastball, 94.7. Slider, 88.5 right here. The thing that I want to be able to point out right here, at least in the early parts of the season, when you're looking at different trends, when you're looking at different things, is a question of Justin Wrobleski not getting a whole lot of strikeouts. Is that going to lead to a lot of future major league success? First question you have to ask is, why is he not getting a whole lot of strikeouts? And I think in part is because he is, one, pounding the zone. And number two, some of the velocity on some of his pitches aren't as hard as it has been in the past. Even if you want to say fastball, about 94.5 to 95 is typically where he sits as a starter, which you saw with some of the numbers 2024 and 2025. It's down to about 93.5, 93.8, a little bit down, and then the slider is a little bit off as well with that. So the question is this going to be something where sustainable, or is it going to be something where Wrobleski can build up with some of his velo as he goes along? If he can do that, I think the strikeout percentage can start to have a positive regression back from being a 10.5% strikeout percentage to more of closer to 20-ish% on the strikeout percentage. And if that is the case, that's going to lead to a lot more sustainability with some of his success. And the reason why we talk about sustainability when it comes to strikeout percentage is because on the baseball field, there are certain things that you can control as a major league pitcher. And the ability to be able to get swing and miss and the ability to get strikeouts is one of the few things that is inside of your control as a pitcher. And if you're able to get a lot of swing and miss, that is a lot less dependent on batted ball type of data. And typically, in just the overall landscape of Major League Baseball, average batting average on a ball put in play is about 300. Well, if almost all of the balls are put in play have a 300 batting average, or if you are almost solely reliant, this is better way to say it, almost solely reliant on putting balls in play, it's going to lead to, on the long run, about a 300 batting average, especially if the hard hit percentage is around league average, which is around where Justin Wrobleski is at this point. That's going to lead to a 300 batting average, going to lead to 300 on base percentage, and let's just say it's all singles, 300 slugging percentage. But as soon as power gets added, it's going to lead to a little bit more of a different complicated situation going forward, which means that in order to limit some of that, you need to be able to add some swing and miss. And the reason why I want to be able to point this out is because with Justin Wrobleski, he's a dog. He's awesome. And none of this is intended to be able to take away from the success that Wrobleski has had. 1.25 ERA is phenomenal to start the season, and he has done exactly what the Los Angeles Dodgers need out of this rotation. It is provide innings. It has led to the team having the fewest amount of innings pitched for the bullpen this season, which is a complete 180 from what it was last year when they were one of the teams that threw the most amount of innings as a bullpen. Justin Wrobleski has played a massive part of that. The question is this going to sustain long term? And are we perhaps looking at things from a point of view where Wrobleski is having a whole lot of success right now? Emmett Sheehan not necessarily having a whole lot of success, but both of those players are showing some things, at least with their velocity early in the season, that might be a little bit concerning. Are we having a little bit of a early season success type of bias with that when it comes to those two type of players? Now let's talk logistically when it comes to the Dodgers and it comes to Blake Snell rejoining back to this team, because you can say all of that and still say Justin Wrobleski deserves to be in the starting rotation right now with the way that he is pitching, because a 1.25 ERA speaks for itself. And even though he's not getting a whole lot of strikeouts, even though it is very likely that there's going to be some negative regression at some point, there has to be at least a little bit, especially when it comes to major league type of results, when you're getting major league hitters out, some sort of merit system that gets put in place. And if anybody in this rotation has increased and earned a spot from what it was relative to last year, it is Justin Wrobleski and this year's team and what he has been doing so far with the effectiveness net that he is. He has earned that spot. Also, logistically, when it comes to Justin Wrobleski, and this is something we talked a lot about during the course of the offseason, very limited flexibility when it comes to Justin Wrobleski in the future, given that he has only one option year. One of the things we talked about extensively is if you want to keep Justin Wrobleski as part of this team, he likely has to stay on the major league level for the entirety of this season. Otherwise, if you option him now, you're going to go ahead and lose the option year, in which case you won't have the ability to be able to option him in 2027 or beyond. The one tricky thing with that is the Dodgers, as far as starting pitchers, are dealing with a little bit of a lack of depth at this point, especially with some of the injuries that are taking place. I believe River Ryan is still on the 7-day injured list for Oklahoma City. Gavin Stone, injured list right now. Landon Knack is on the 60-day injured list, so he will be out for a while. There's just a little bit of a lack of a depth, so it would make sense to want to have all of these guys stretched out as a starting pitcher. And with Justin Wrobleski, with the ERA he has, it's very likely that he has earned this type of spot. Robo is awesome, and his competitive nature is absolutely evident every single time that he goes out there. And I remember that back to 2023 when I had a chance to be able to see him in Great Lakes, and he was the star of that team. I remember when he made his debut in 2024 and just how excited I was for him with that. But there are some signs on there, especially going just beyond just the sole strikeout percentage being down, that at least we have to take note of in future starts. Because even if we want to say, hey, he might be building up as he goes along, if we go to the actual game log, and again, the latest game or the earliest game is at the bottom, latest game, which was against Cardinals on May 3rd, is at the top. The velocity hasn't trended up. It's actually trended down a little bit, both with his fastball and his slider. Could be as a preservation to get through a long season, could be in anticipation to pitch a whole lot of innings. But this is something to take note of. In similarity to an Emmett Sheehan, although you could say Wrobleski relies a little bit less on his velo than Sheehan does. Sheehan a little bit more of that swinging miss, typical swinging miss type of stuff. But both pitchers rely on velocity. That's just one of the things I want to make sure that we are watching out for and ask the question why certain things take place. Why this strikeout percentage? Why did the Dodgers make these certain type of decisions? Or why could the organization justify certain actions when it comes to plays? That's just one thing, and this is not a, hey, the Dodgers are going to make this move with Justin Wrobleski. I fully expect Robo to be part of the rotation and be part of the Dodgers team for a long time. And even if they keep all 7 guys on the Major League roster and they decide Justin Wrobleski a little bit more of a piggyback type of role, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible role for Justin Wrobleski and one that he can go ahead and run with throughout the course of this season. But I want us to be consistent with our analysis across the board, and I want us to be looking deeper when it comes to this, and that's what we're going to be doing as best as we possibly can to be able to ask and answer the questions when it comes to all things Dodgers baseball. Look deep. Try to find different aspects and try to get a little bit of a picture or of an insight into what the organization potentially is thinking with this. That's just a little bit of talk of Justin Wrobleski. Again, massive fans here of Justin Wrobleski. He went to Oklahoma State. I don't think it's any secret that Casey is a big Oklahoma State fan. He played for the Great Lakes Loons. I don't think it's any secret that I'm a Great Lakes Loons fan. He plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't think it's any secret that we're all Los Angeles Dodgers fans. Robo is awesome, but I want us to keep all of this in mind when it comes to him. Looking at the Dodgers big picture wise, because this is one of the things that I want us to be able to do, is I want to be able to take a little bit of a big picture type of thing when it comes to Dodgers baseball, but also understand where certain players sit when it comes to their numbers in the 2026 season. And we're going to start off pitching wise before we get into the offense, which has been slumping a little bit as of late. This is something that I've created on here. This looks and compares similar to what we did during the off season where we looked at the past 3 years, 2023 to 2025. What I wanted to do is compare their 2026 numbers to the 2023 to 2025 numbers to see how much of a difference there is from those seasons, from the previous 3 seasons to this season, to see, hey, is this player drastically overperforming what he had done in the past? Is a player drastically underperforming? So on and so forth. So we have this for ERA. We have it for expected ERA, StatCast figure. ERA and expected ERA. We can make a comparison with those. Strikeout minus walk percentage and Stuff Plus. Stuff Plus will give us a little bit of an indicator of how well an individual stuff is actually doing. So when looking at this, obviously Justin Wrobleski, massive improvement with his numbers right here, going from a 4.81 ERA previous 3 seasons at the major league level combined to a 1.25 ERA. Drop an ERA of 3.5 on his ERA. Just phenomenal type of stuff. Does have an expected ERA of 4.23, right along in line with what is anticipated. Probably going to be, as we had talked about, some negative regression, both with past numbers and what the expected numbers are. A couple of other things. Will Klein has been awesome. 3.07 ERA on the season. Shohei Ohtani, obviously awesome. 0.60 ERA to start the season. Alex Vesia, awesome as well. Who are some of the players that perhaps are underperforming what they had done in the past? Roki Sasaki a little bit, Amit Sheehan, obviously, so on and so forth. But what I'm going to look at specifically, 2026 ERA and 2026 expected ERA. Who are the guys that are overperforming what their expected numbers are and would expect perhaps a little bit of regression in this aspect. One player I had highlighted, and this has to do a little bit more with quality of contact, Tanner Scott. He's got a 188 ERA, been awesome this season, but a 380 expected ERA. Just keep an eye out for him. Perhaps the numbers might get a little bit worse as the season goes along. Blake Treinen, massive difference between his 4 ERA and his 7 expected ERA. Going to be one of those things to watch, especially as Brock Stewart comes back and a Brusdar Graterol is currently rehabbing in Oklahoma City. They're adding a couple of high leverage right-handed relievers. That's a good thing because Blake Treinen, there's at least some concern about his effectiveness going forward with that. And then just some of the players, perhaps you could see turnaround. Emmett Sheehan, 5.23 ERA, 4.32 expected ERA, a little bit of difference. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto, his expected ERA hasn't been great this season, just a 4.04 expected ERA versus his 2.87 ERA. Can be one of those things to watch. His strikeouts minus walk percentage is also down to about 15.5%, about 6% down from what it was previous season. Stuff still very much the same way. I'm not worried about Yoshinobu Yamamoto, though, at this point. Let's look at Stuff Plus, because this is one of the fascinating things. You can see Emmett Sheehan has a drop in Stuff Plus, but also Justin Wrobleski down from a 103 previous 3 seasons to a 92 this season. That's what I'm talking about with some of the velo drop impacting that, even though it hasn't gone and affected his overall ability to be able to get some outs. Looking at some of the other ones, Edgardo Henriquez with some of his Stuff Plus has been down a little bit. Alex Vesia as well. Just overall with the pitching staff. And this is what I want to be able to do, is just look at some of the overall weighted averages. They have a 3.20 out of this group, and this is not including Miguel Rojas, 3.20 ERA. They are one of the top teams when it comes to ERA on the season. Their expected ERA is about 3.84, though, meaning they perhaps have overperformed what is expected out of them. Obviously, some of the players perhaps are overperforming a little bit than what was anticipated. Just one of the things to keep out. Strikeout minus walk percentage based off of in comparison to what it was in previous seasons is down a little bit, and so is the overall stuff quality of what they have. And this is taking into account the overall stuff that these group of pitchers have taken into account. So what you have is a little bit of a group where the pitching staff, just as a whole, and I want to emphasize some of the positives first, because there are good things with the Dodgers pitching, because they're third in baseball in ERA. They're doing really well in that aspect. They have the 8th lowest expected ERA in baseball. So their ERA is 3.22. Their expected ERA is 3.73 just overall. They're 6th in FIP and expected FIP. 4th in strikeout minus walk percentage. 7th lowest hard hit percentage. But perhaps there is going to be a little bit of negative regression coming at some point with this pitching staff, because stuff is a little bit down so far early this season. Strikeouts minus walk percentage down a little bit from what you would expect from this group. The expected ERA is higher than what the ERA is. And if that is the case, the Dodgers need their offense to be able to get going as an overall unit, because the offense to start the season was absolutely on fire. And still, if you look at the overall numbers for this offense, 121 weighted runs created plus, third best offense in the game of baseball. They're 5th in isolated power, 168. They're 1st in expected weighted on base average with 357. They don't swing outside of the zone a whole lot. They have the 6th lowest strikeout percentage, meaning that for a lot of years, a lot of Dodgers fans were frustrated about the overall swing and miss in this offense. The Dodgers have mostly corrected that and become one of the least swing and miss type of teams as in the game of baseball. And in fact, since the Colorado series, the Dodgers strikeout percentage is about 18.5%. This has not been a team that has had the issues with striking out a whole lot. And yet recently they have struggled as an overall unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Dodgers' overall offense, similar to what we did with the pitching staff. You'll be able to compare 2023 to 2025 and 2026 numbers and ask ourselves, should we be concerned about this offense long term? Is this going to be something where there's serious issues with the Dodgers as an overall unit? And which players perhaps should we be concerned about with the Dodgers as an offensive unit, an offensive stat? This is what I have right here. We're going to look at the overall numbers, then we're going to look at the most recent numbers and make a little bit of comparisons. What I have right here is WRC plus 2026, 2023 to 2025. This is the difference right there. The blue is going to be players that are underperforming what they did in the past. The red is going to be players that overperform what they did in the past. Then we have expected weighted on base average. If you're not familiar, this takes into account quality of contact and puts it on a scale of on base percentage. But it weighs it a little bit different because home runs are better than singles. So not just pure on base percentage, but a weighted on base percentage that actually values extra base hits more than it does singles or walks or so forth. Basically red, good, blue, bad. This is the difference between previous years. We're looking at weighted on base average versus expected weighted on base average. And this is a new thing that I just recently added is ground ball percentage. Because a lot of Dodgers fans are frustrated with the amount of ground balls recently that have been hit by this team. We'll be able to look at that. And what you're going to notice when looking at this is there's a very clear trend about who has been underperforming, who the type performance that they have had in the past. And it's all the star players on this team. Shohei Ohtani, 126 WRC plus, previous 3 seasons, 177, a drop to 51 points. Kyle Tucker, 94 WRC plus, not what the Dodgers paid for during the offseason. His previous 3 seasons, 146 WRC plus, a drop of 52 points. Freddie Freeman, 110 WRC plus. Previous 3 seasons, 146 WRC plus, a drop of 36 points. And Will Smith, 101 WRC plus, previous 3 seasons, 124 WRC plus, a drop of 23 points. Those are the biggest drops, not including Betts or Aspinall, who haven't gotten quite as many plate appearances. But if you're just looking at players with over 100 plate appearances, those are the players that have dropped the most offensively. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we expect that to continue going forward? Well, in order to help answer that question, let's look at what some of the expected stats are showing us with the numbers that we're seeing. Shohei Ohtani, near 400 expected weighted on base average. His previous 3 years was about 440. It's a drop of about 40 points in his weighted on base average. Definitely noticeable and very well could impact the WRC plus. But to the extreme difference of 50 points, I don't necessarily think so. 316 for Kyle Tucker, 387 the previous 3 seasons. That's a drop of 70 points. And in fact, if you look at his weighted on base average and his expected weighted on base average, that is right in line. If you're talking about a player to be concerned about based on his quality of contact to this point and him not necessarily getting unlucky, it's been Kyle Tucker. And this is a story that we'll continue to watch going forward, is I don't think it is completely a luck-based thing with Kyle Tucker. In fact, I don't think Kyle Tucker is getting unlucky at all at this point. I think it is just he is not performing to the player that he has been in the past. And it's a question of, will he get back to the player that he was in the past? Something to keep an eye out for. If we're looking at Freddie Freeman, 382 expected weighted on base average. Previous 3 seasons, 377. I think Freddie Freeman, with his quality of contact, is going to be totally fine with what he has. And in fact, I think he's one of the players that is getting some of the most unlucky, at least on this Dodgers team and probably across the game of baseball. Both him and Shohei Ohtani, I would say, definitely getting unlucky with their point. If we're looking at Will Smith, 362, 353 the previous 3 seasons. Again, I think he is another player. 40-point difference between his weighted on base average and his expected weighted on base average. I think he's getting a little bit unlucky of sorts as well. Looking at some of the players or some of the reasons why, because if you look at this Dodgers offense, 121 WRC plus does not include Ryan Ward and didn't include him part of this list. If you were to average it out, You would expect about a 127-ish WRC plus, still right in line with kind of what we are anticipated. These are weighted averages based on the number of plate appearances that they've had in the past. And even the expected stats are right along. The difference is right along. The ground ball percentage is up a little bit, about 3%, which is a little bit of cause concern, but that gets taken into account with some of the batted ball type of quality. The reason why the Dodgers offense is still among statistically the best offenses in the game of baseball is because their depth is overperforming what they have done in the past. You could say overperforming or developing to a point where they're becoming productive hitters. Dalton Rushing, tremendous increase from what he's done in the past. Alex Scala has been solid. Hae-Sung Kim has been awesome, going from a 95 WRC plus to a 128 WRC plus. Max Muncy, been awesome. Andy Pages has been awesome. These are players that have made dramatic improvements to the point where this offense, if you look at the total basis of where it's at, it's been about a league average-ish, or not a league average. They have been above league average. They have been third in baseball as an offense. And yet, they have struggled recently. Past 6 games have not hit a home run. If we look at their numbers since the Colorado series, since 4/17, which is the date that Dave Roberts had pointed out as being the note where the Dodgers started to struggle. It was the start of the 13 games in 13 days type of stretch. What have we seen from this offense? Hasn't been pretty at all. Max Muncy's been hitting. Dalton Rushing has hit a little bit. Hae-Sung Kim, 118 WRC plus during the stretch. Basically, everybody else has been league average or well below league average. Shohei Ohtani has been a league average hitter during this stretch. Kyle Tucker, 86 WRC plus, around the same as what it has been throughout the season. Andy Pages has taken a step back quite a bit with his numbers, 52 WRC plus. Expected numbers a little bit more in line with what he's done in the past. I think he should be fine. Freddie Freeman, 94 WRC plus. Batted ball quality has been down a little bit. Teoscar Hernandez, over the past 59 plate appearances for him, it's just been a 50 WRC plus, 64 points down from what it had been the previous 3 seasons, and the expected quality of contact has not necessarily been there for a Teoscar Hernandez. Will Smith, 64 WRC plus, has not necessarily been great. It is all the players you can see. Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, Andy Pages, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith. Those are the players that are really underperforming as an overall unit to the point where this team, over this stretch, about a 102 WRC plus from these guys. 343 expected weighted on base average isn't bad. And the ground ball percentage is at 42%. You're looking at some of the players, like, for example, with the ground ball percentage during this stretch. Teoscar Hernandez is hitting the ball on the ground a decent amount. Freddie Freeman is hitting the ball 10% more than what he had the previous 3 seasons. So even Shohei is hitting it on the ground quite a bit. We're having a team that just overall is going through quite a bit of a funk. And it's coming from primarily a lot of their star type of players. Here's where I'm a little bit less concerned about this. Is the overall quality of contact remains relatively solid. Again, expected weighted on base average, pretty good indicator. It's 343 as a team during this stretch, which if you were to extrapolate that, and I know it's not fair, but to a full season of Major League Baseball, that would put you among some of the top offenses in the game of baseball still. The offense has been struggling as of late, but a lot of the players that are struggling are star players. Their Shohei Ohtani has been struggling relative to what he's been in the past. It's Will Smith has been struggling relative to what he's been in the past. Freddie Freeman has not gotten the hits like he's done in the past. Kyle Tucker has not gotten the hits like he's done in the past. Teoscar Hernandez is struggling a bit. Andy Pages has just been struggling. The question that we have to ask ourselves, and this is where we have to take a little bit of a step back and understand that it is a 162-game season, is, are we in any way concerned that those players are going to continue to struggle for the entirety of the season or for months-long stretch when they are still putting up relatively decent expected numbers and they have long track records for the case of majority of those players of being successful type of hitters? And if they have the long track record of being successful type of hitters, Should we have any real long-term concern with this offense? Because the reality is, at this point, I do not have any long-term concerns with the Dodgers offense. And I think if we were to take a little bit of a step back, I think that's probably the one of the fair verdicts that we can have. It can be very easy for us to get in the ins and outs or in the day-to-day type of thing and be frustrated, or even be frustrated during stretches of Dodgers baseball where they should be performing better than what they are. But I think this is just the course of Major League Baseball. And I think this Dodgers offense as a unit, especially because it is the star players and not a depth issue. In fact, the Dodgers' depth has shown case to be pretty strong throughout the course of the season. Some of the players have made improvements from the depth. Ha-Seong Kim has been much better than what was anticipated going into the season compared to what he did both at AAA and at the Major League level last year. Dalton Rushing has taken a massive step forward. Even Alex Call has been a really solid contributor, even though he's not getting a whole lot of playing time for this Dodgers team. I think there's a lot of depth that the Dodgers have, and as soon as the star players start hitting, and as soon as the Dodgers just hit that one home run, I think it's going to be really good things happen. The good thing for the Dodgers is they are going up against the Houston Astros tonight. Why is that a good thing? If you look at Major League Baseball, for Houston Astros pitchers, they have posted a 5.75 ERA. That is dead last in all of Major League Baseball. And they also have the worst walk percentage of any team in Major League Baseball at about 13.5%. I think that goes right in line with what this Dodgers team does best. And when the Dodgers are right, they are a patient team. They're going to draw some walks, and then they're going to be able to hit for some power as well. I think this is a prime opportunity for the Dodgers offense that has struggled recently to be able to get right. And this is especially good because it's going up against the Houston Astros. Obviously, you want to win that series if you're the Dodgers. You want to win any series, but even more so if it is against the bitter rival in the Houston Astros. And I think this is a prime opportunity for the Dodgers to be able to do so. And even if not, I think the star players are the players that are struggling, and past track records suggest that they will get right and still make this team a good overall unit. This is what the depth of what the Dodgers has built that has allowed them to be able to withstand even 4 or 5 star players struggling to this point and still be able to put up an offense that over the past, since 4-17, since the Colorado series, has posted about a league average type of offense, even though the individual games haven't always gone the way of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a little bit of an overall grand scheme look into the Dodgers offense and 2 things in particular when the Los Angeles Dodgers. A couple of other notes that we have with the Dodgers as a pitching staff. One, their starters have been awesome. 2.91 ERA for the starters, 3.72 expected ERA. They have the second most innings pitched as a starting pitching unit with 198, which has led to them having to throw the fewest bullpen innings with 101 bullpen innings for the bullpen. Their bullpen also has the 11th lowest ERA. One thing to watch, and this is going to be something that I'm curious to see how the Dodgers handle it, and perhaps even the conversation that we were having earlier about Sheehan and Wrobleski is a little bit mute, is because I don't know if the Dodgers want to tax their specific starters to the degree that they have to this point in the season. Meaning, well, yes, it is a good thing, and you don't want to tax the bullpen, and it's a very good thing that the Dodgers have the fewest amount of innings pitched out of the bullpen. It means their starters have been able to go length. I don't know if the Dodgers want to have their starters continue to go this length or have certain starters go this length. For example, Tyler Glasnow has been great at being able to provide length for the Dodgers. Do you want him pitching 180, 190 innings this year? I don't think that's something that the Dodgers want Tyler Glasnow to do. In fact, I think the Dodgers would prefer to hold back on some of his innings while also being able to provide some length, to be able to provide some of the bullpen some rest. And that could be one of the interesting things to be able to navigate as some of these guys start to get healthy. Is the end goal remains October. And that is one of the things that the Dodgers are going to do everything they can to make sure their guys are healthy, ready to go. for October. And if it means having to limit some of the innings that certain guys pitch, the Dodgers are going to find a way to be able to do that going forward. One thing's to be able to watch. And then also, this is a little bit of a surprise going into the season. Dodgers are one of the best defensive teams in the year. They're top 5 in defense run save, outs above average, fielding run value. Very underrated aspect that has been really solid for the Dodgers this year. The only real negative on defense so far, just overall, maybe Kyle Tucker. He's been below league average, I believe, in defensive run saved and outs above average. That was anticipated going into this year based on his past couple of year trends, where there's been positive trends. Freddie Freeman has been a positive defender. Even Max Muncy hasn't been that bad. Teoscar Hernandez's numbers are more league average-ish so far this season. We'll see if that continues for him. But overall, it's been good things that we have seen from this Dodgers team as an overall big picture aspect. The question is, will this continue, and will they be able to get over the hump of their recent offensive hurdles? I think the answer to that very clearly is yes. And I think with some of the starting pitching type of issues, yeah, there's some things certainly we can be worried about. I laid them out, and I went particular at Justin Wrobleski, and because that is something that I don't believe has been covered or talked about a whole lot. But it's also true that the Dodgers starting pitchers have had a ton of success, and it is a privilege to be a Los Angeles Dodger. Now let's talk a little bit about some things that are going on at the minor league level, and I just want to give you guys a little bit of a picture with that before we get into some of the comments, some of the questions that you guys have. If you guys have any questions, please let me know what questions that you guys have, things that you want to be able to have me go ahead and talk over. Be happy to be able to do that as quick, or answer as many questions as I possibly can. Just some overall notes at the minor league level, because I think it's important to be able to do this. First off, and this is not with the Los Angeles Dodgers, this actually just broke right before the show, with the Boston Red Sox. Alec Gamboa, former Los Angeles Dodgers prospect, friend of the show, has just been called up to the Boston Red Sox and has the opportunity to be able to make his big league debut, which for us here at Dodgers Daily, is amazing, because this is somebody who spent a long time scratching and clawing for an opportunity, and it looks like he's going to be able to get his opportunity with the Boston Red Sox. So congratulations to Alec Gamboa. Super happy for him, and I know Casey is super happy about that news as well. Let's talk about the 2026 Dodgers farm system. Overall, a lot of winning so far. 64-51. It is a .557 winning percentage. That's third for major league teams, only behind San Francisco, which is running away with the minor leagues this year and the amount of wins that they have, and the Washington Nationals. The Dodgers, as a minor league system, the key to their success so far has been their offense. 113 WRC+, 372 on base percentage as a unit, 137 home runs, and a 172 ISO. That's second, third, and third, respectively, to those stats. And then if we're talking about an overall team on the pitching side, because the pitching side has been a little bit more of a struggle, that's slightly skewed because some of the Dodgers pitchers pitch in more hitter-friendly type of environments. I think of Oklahoma City very clearly. Great Lakes has a 30.9% K percentage to start this season. And I don't just say that because I'm massive fan of the Great Lakes Loons. I say that because their 31% strikeout percentage is third among all minor league teams, only behind 2 Florida State League teams, which, if you know the Florida State League teams, they are it's a very pitcher-friendly type of environment. Great Lakes, the pitchers at the high level for the Los Angeles Dodgers, currently have a team strikeout percentage of about 31%. Phenomenal stuff for them. They're also 12th in strikeout minus walk percentage. They walk a whole lot of guys, but still with the amount of guys that they strike out, they're 12th in minor league baseball teams. Strikeout minus walk percentage, third in strikeout percentage. Congratulations to the success that the Great Lakes Loons have. And that's actually where I want to go ahead and start us off today, is because I want to be able to highlight somebody that is absolutely killing it right now for the Great Lakes Loons. And this is somebody that you guys probably know if you're paying attention to a whole lot of prospects. Mike Sirota. Mike Sirota is out of his world on fire right now. 106 plate appearances on the season. He has a 192 WRC plus. He's hitting 329, 481 with a 683 slugging percentage. He has 192 WRC plus. If you go by weighted runs above average, which first off, that opposite field power, it's the right center gap type of power that he has, is out of this world. And the footage that you're seeing right here is 3 home runs that he hit in the same day. He had another home run this week that was an inside the park home run. 4 home runs on the week for Mike Sirota. His 192 WRC plus after having a really slow start at the beginning of the season. It wasn't a super slow start. He was just getting unlucky with the batted balls that he had. He is 4th in minor league baseball and weighted runs above average, which if you were to quantify WRC plus into more of a cumulative type of statistic, that would be the way to be able to do so. That gives us both the quality of how good of a player is and how much they're able to do that over the long scale. 354 ISO, the oppo field power is legit. The ability to be able to go ahead and hit it gap to gap with impact is super good. Mike Sirota is not long in Great Lakes. And in fact, I don't know if he's going to be on Great Lakes for the massive series they got coming up with Lake County. I hope he is, as a fan of the Great Lakes Loons, but he is showing himself to be not just one of the best Dodgers prospects in their system, but being one of the best prospects across all of minor league baseball, because last year he was posting 170, 180 WRC plus. Got injured. The question was he going to hit to that degree? And to this point of the season, a month in, he has continued to do that, and even more so this year. Mike Sirota is one of the best prospects in the game of baseball, and a reason why the Dodgers don't just go around and trade all their different prospects to help their major league squad immediately is because you can have some of these players grow and develop, and the Dodgers do a really good job at going ahead and evaluating some of their prospects and where they are at. Mike Sirota, Midwest League Player of the Week, more than well deserved. And for however long he is in Great Lakes, I'm so excited to be able to see what he can do. It won't be long though. Mike Sirota, at some point soon, will be up in Tulsa. The only question is, how do the Dodgers figure out their entire outfield situation? Because even if we go up to the Oklahoma City type of level, we are seeing some success from somebody that you might view as a little bit more of a depth piece, and the Dodgers certainly do, but when it comes to depth type pieces within the system, they play an important type of role. Jack Suwinski played a lot in the Pittsburgh organization in years past. This is what he's doing this year, and remember, the profile of Jack Suwinski is huge amount of swing and miss, but the underlying metrics were really solid for him. In Oklahoma City, after a little bit more of a slow start, he's currently batting .301 in 127 plate appearances, .417 on base percentage, .621 slugging percentage. That's a 160 WRC plus. It's a .389 expected weighted on base average. Whip percentage, still high, about 29%. He's hitting the ball relatively hard. If you're talking about depth within this organization, and if you're talking about especially extra base power coming off of the bench, and for a Dodgers team, when it comes to a postseason type of environment where you want to have power type of hitters that could come off of your bench, perhaps left-handed bat that could do that, and in a postseason environment where you have more position players than you do pitchers, perhaps Jack Suwinski could be opening up some eyes. And if he continues to have this level of success, perhaps he's somebody that could see some time in Los Angeles, and maybe even some very high impact type of time if he proves to be left-handed bat that can make a little bit of an impact and potentially be a little bit more of an off-the-bench type of thing for them. Jack Suwinski having a really good start to the season. Also, want to go ahead and highlight one of the top prospects within the Dodgers organization, Josue Depala. 309 batting average. You can see he pulled a home run in this one, 442 on base percentage, 454. It's again a 149 WRC plus. He has been remarkably consistent with his bat as he's gone along. But the thing I want to highlight first, and we'll cut over to some of the footage right here. I might have done that a little bit backwards. With Josue DePaula with Depot, is his pull percentage is up 10% from what it was at Great Lakes. He's swinging the bat more, which I think is really important for Josue DePaula, as you're going to see a little bit of a replay of the home run that he had. The biggest thing that he hasn't been able to do is get into the pull side power. But if he's pulling the ball a little bit more, as you see the home run that he hit right here, that's going to lead to a lot of good things. And another note with him, and one of the things that we had talked about quite a bit, swing percentage. Swing percentage was at about 37-ish% last year for him. It's up to about 41, 42% for Josue DePaula to start the season. I think that's a good sign for him because that means that he's being a little bit more aggressive at the plate, and I think that's going to be kind of similar-ish to some of the things that Alex Freeland is fighting through right now. We're a little bit too passive at the plate. I think that's showing a little bit increased aggressiveness for Josue DePaula to where he might not have as much of those issues while still being able to draw some walks. A couple of other players we'll go ahead and highlight. Player first that we'll go ahead. Actually, we'll go ahead and just talk. We'll just run through some of this rapid fire so we can get to some of the questions. We won't pull up some of the footage on here. Logan Wagner continues to be really solid with Great Lakes, 147 WRC plus, hitting for a ton of power, 317. The biggest thing with Logan Wagner and his ability to be able to have some success is the pitches down and low on the inside. How does he do laying off on those pitches? Because that's where there's a lot of swing and miss, especially a lot of off speed that looks like it's going to hit the bottom of the zone inside left-handed hitter and ends up dropping lower than that. If he can lay off some of those pitches, which I think he's done a little bit of a better job at doing, I think that's going to decrease some of the swing and miss that Logan Wagner has and lead to some future success for him. And then the last player from Ontario, Anton Rose, been awesome. 412 batting average, 178 WRC plus. Catcher from Oregon, walking a lot. Strikeout percentage about 21.3%. Not completely unreasonable for him. Again, some rapid fire pitching staffs that I want to be able to throw out to you guys. Let's start off with each level. Ontario, Cam Leiter with a 29.4% strikeout minus walk percentage in his 8 2/3 innings. Let's see. Brady Smith also has a 37% strikeout percentage. Those are some underlying guys to be able to keep an eye out for. With Great Lakes, Brooks Auger, and these are some of the guys that I've had the chance to be able to see this season. Very early in the season, just 2 appearances for him coming back, a little bit slow out of the gate for him. But in just about 5 innings, he has a 43% strikeout percentage. And with Brooks Auger, he's been a little bit more, at least to this point of his career, a little bit more of a command over stuff type of guy. If he can add some stuff or get into some of the stuff that has always been there for Brooks Auger, watch out for him. Because last year, a little bit more league averages for some of the results, not exactly what you would want for Brooks. If he shows anywhere near the type of bite that we're starting to see with his stuff, combined with the command that he has, Brooks Auger is going to be a really good pitcher within this org. Davis Chastain also continues to be phenomenal. 35% strikeout minus walk percentage. Watch out for Davis Chastain. Relief pitcher from Georgia that the Dodgers just recently drafted. Christian Zazueta has been awesome as well. Another 30+% strikeout minus walk percentage guy. And another player that is going a little bit under the radar that actually has been on this program, Nicolas Cruz, 23.6% swinging strike percentage, which we're talking about swinging strike percentage. This is the number of swings and misses that you get divided by the number of pitches that you throw. Among all minor league pitchers with 10 innings pitched, which again, early in the season, so very limited sample size that we have, Nicolas Cruz and his 23.6% swinging strike percentage ranks 4th in minor league baseball. Of all the pitchers in minor league baseball, Nicolas Cruz, relief pitcher from Great Lakes, ranks 4th. A couple of other guys, relief pitchers that I want to highlight just because they're coming up through the system. Lucas Wepp is on fire. 41.2% strikeout percentage in Tulsa. 33% K minus walk percentage. getting a lot of swing and miss. Lucas Webb, he's healthy and he's being really effective. And then one guy I want to make sure that I mentioned, because he's having a lot of success, was part of the non-roster invites for spring training, and somebody that you could see at the major league level with the Los Angeles Dodgers at some point, Wyatt Mills. Wyatt Mills, if you haven't been paying attention, 17 and 2/3 innings, 2.04 ERA with a 191 FIP. It's a 38.5% strikeout percentage with a sub 8% walk percentage for Wyatt Mills, and a 172 expected weighted on base average, and a plus 40 whiff percentage. Wyatt Mills is secretly, or quietly I should say, having an immense amount of success. And I know the Dodgers are getting Brock Stewart back probably for this series or very soon for the Dodgers, and going to potentially get Brusdar Graterol back, but they have some depth of some guys that aren't on their 40-man roster, and Wyatt Mills is making a name for himself in Oklahoma City and adding some really serious depth to this team, adding some serious depth to this organization that I want to make sure is highlighted right there. Keep an eye out for right-handed pitcher Wyatt Mills down on the farm for the Oklahoma City Comets. That's going to do with some of the pre-programmed type of stuff. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit, answer some of the questions that you guys have had. I thank you so much for being able to tune in. If you have any questions that you want me to answer before the show is over, I'll be able to go for another 10-ish minutes or so. Please leave it down in the comment section. Be reading through some of these as quickly as I possibly can, because I genuinely appreciate you guys for the support that you guys have right here. Honey Oates, talked a little bit about it. Offense has been struggling a lot, and she needs to go on the IL. That was some of the questions that we went ahead and talked about. Honey Oates also asked, when will Mike Sirota gets promoted? It's a very good question. It's very soon, would be my guess based on the performance that he has. Here's some of the issues that you have. In Tulsa, the outfielders that you have are Josue De Paula, Zaire Hope, Kendall George. Those are the three main ones. You also have Chris Newell and Cole Myers. Those two guys are really solid, and the Dodgers don't necessarily know what to do. Chris Newell, it's been about 92-ish WRC plus. Cole Myers, 87. I don't think those are the guys that you would promote, and you won't promote Josue De Paula, Zaire Hope, or Kendall George right now. Creates a little bit of a log jam on what you have on that aspect. So I don't know what the organization is going to do. I don't know if they're going to find some sort of trade. I don't know if it's going to be because Chris Newell has been at the AA level for a couple of years, call him up. But even if that is the case, you still have James Tibbs, you still have Zach Earhart, you have Jack Sawinski, you have Michael Ciani. I think there's another outfielder that's part of the mix as well for Oklahoma City. You have Ryan Ward. Ryan Ward is still part of that mix. You have a lot of guys that are in the outfield mix for those levels. 5 guys that I think the organization wants to keep around at that level, to where makes it a little bit difficult to promote Mike Sirota. You can't really have 6 outfielders when you play 4 of them every single day, and you have 2 other ones that you want to get at least 2 to 4 games in a week. Makes it impossible to be able to do that, especially at the Oklahoma City type of level, where there's not a whole lot of positional versatility with Newell, with Myers, with De Paula, with Hope, and with Kendall George, and not with Mike Sirota as well. So they will find a way at some point. My selfish hope is it takes a little bit, at least to the point where Great Lakes can clinch a playoff spot or put themselves in good enough position. And even if it's just this week against a rematch with Lake County, even if it's just through that week, they find a way to be able to promote them. Mike Sirota is forcing his way up, though, and it is truly remarkable to be able to see that. We'll just have to see what happens. Greg Osterberg, Robo just gets the job done. He knows when to turn it up and get a strikeout. We'll see. And Robo has been awesome. We saw in Game 7. In Game 6 of the World Series. We've seen it throughout his career, and this is not just going back during his time in Los Angeles. This goes back to his minor league career, where he found a way to be able to get a job done, found a way to be able to do that, and I have no doubt that Robo is going to have a successful big league type of career. It's just are we seeing the stuff out of Justin Wrobleski, or are we having the same mindset when it comes to evaluating him as we do with other players as well? And is there perhaps some concern going forward with him? Those are just some of the questions that we have.
Justin's been great. Al Minerva, absolutely. Honey Oates, Justin's fine. 6 starter. We know he'll eventually is going to regress at some point. And I think Robo's ability to throw it in the zone consistently and be able to stack up innings has a ton of value to this Dodgers team. I just want to make sure that the success is replicatable long term for him. Honey Oates, she does go to the IL. The velocity dipping is very concerning. If you have some concern with the velocity dipping with Evan Sheehan, do you have the same concern with Justin Wrobleski? And it's not just a bullpen to starter, it's also a minor league starter to major league starter as well. That's the question that I would ask with that. Mr. Classic, let's see, going into some of this. Great Lakes starting off with 2 losses this month. They did win the series against the Peoria Chiefs though, so they're still really good with what they have. Let's see. I just don't think Emmett Sheehan is any type of bust or any of that type of stuff, and I think that is a little bit of an overreaction with that. Sammy Boy Smith, rookie, has made steps, made a tiny bit of progress every start so far, and that's some of the things that you hope for as he goes along. It's just a little bit of a question of how long can the Dodgers allow him to be able to make those steps. And I think with Dodgers talent, they really realistically have the ability to let it last as long as they possibly want. Honey Oates, can we see Patrick Copen get called up this year? Patrick Copen, not somebody that I highlighted, but still somebody who's having a ton of success this season. I think they want to see him, if he earns it, makes that step up to Oklahoma City, see how he adjusts from there, and then potentially make that step. It depends on the need in the rotation. I believe he is going to be Rule 5 eligible after the season, so perhaps a September call-up. But at that point, you would hope that a majority of you guys are healthy and firing on all cylinders with that point. So maybe, but Patrick Copen is going to be a major league pitcher. And when that happens, the stories that are going to be written about that are going to be phenomenal. Cope is awesome. One of the best guys in this entire system. Let's see, Sammy Boy Smith, any chance Robo can do as well in the second half or definite regression? It would be very difficult to be able to see a 10% strikeout percentage type of pitcher with the decrease in whiff that he's getting with some of his stuff continue to post a 1.25 ERA. And I don't know how much of a regression there's going to be with Wrobleski. I don't know what his ERA is going to be during the final stretch of the season. But he's also learning stuff as he goes to the big league level. And I think this experience, even though he's not necessarily getting a ton of swing and miss, is actually a good thing for Wrobleski in the aspect of he's learning how to pitch when he doesn't have his swing and miss type of stuff. If you want to look at an optimistic type of view, that's one way that you can go ahead and think about it, is he's learning how to be able to get hitters out when he doesn't have his swing and miss stuff, because he hasn't had his swing and miss stuff to start the season. Honey Oates, River Ryan, and Gavin Stone need to replace Sheehan and Roki when they get back. We'll see. Emmett Sheehan still is a really good pitcher. Just hasn't been as effective to start this season, but I think, especially if you remember what Sheehan was like last year, Sheehan was awesome last year. And I think he's closer to that than what he is to start this season. Let's see, Sammy Boy Smith, we're just not striking out as much. Now it's even worse because we're grounding double plays like crazy. Slow power hitters need to slug with runners on. Yeah, we need to see the power. We need to see the power get back. Dave Lee, Kyle Tucker is bad. Should have signed Bo Bichette. And funny that you should mention that, because we are actually tracking that here, Dodgers Dogs, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, and not just with a Bo Bichette. We're also tracking that with all the different players within the players that were within the realm of possibilities for the Dodgers to sign. Let me go ahead and get this over. I want to get this set up just so you guys can go ahead and see, because I want to hold myself and I want to hold the Dodgers organization accountable for some of the decisions that they made. So just out of curiosity, in case you were curious or still want the Dodgers, or think the Dodgers should have signed Bo Bichette instead, this is some of the numbers that that these players have. First off, Kyle Tucker, 94 WRC plus to start the season. Bo Bichette has been at about a 70 WRC plus to start the season. So if you think the start of the season has been bad for Kyle Tucker to start the season, it's been worse with about the same batted ball quality for both of them with Bo Bichette. Harrison Bader has struggled. Mike Stremski has struggled. Cedric Mullins has struggled. Stephen Kwan has struggled. Jaron Duran has struggled. Luis Robert has been about league average. The guys that have been having a lot of success are Cody Bellinger. We'll see if that continues. His power has been a surprise to me to start the season. Byron Buxton has been solid and really hot as of late. Willie Abreu's been solid. Brendan Donovan has been solid. Taylor Ward has been solid as well. I don't think it was the Bo Bichette. I think if the Dodgers went down that rabbit hole, again, could be a little bit just of a situation type of bias that they have. I don't think it would have ended up the exact same thing. And perhaps that could be a little bit of the point with the comment that we have right there. But just something to keep in mind right there. Should have signed Conforto. Sammy Boyspet says right there. Arcarino 5, thank you for joining us. You should work at NASA. I don't know if I'm going to be working at NASA with that. Tasker the Grouch, yes. I always like when Austin wears that. It's a Loons hat right here, so something to keep out with this. And of course, I mentioned the Astros' worst ERA, or really poor ERA to start the season, and it is something where Dodgers don't seem to hit against those type of pitchers, so maybe it's not a good thing for the Dodgers. Honey Oates, Mike Sirota, and Chuck Davlin might be some of my favorite prospects. They've been a joy to be able to watch. Their hit tools are some of the best that the Dodgers have within the system. Mike Sirota has real impact. Even Chuck Davlin, he has some real power, and he's had a couple of 2 home run games that we've seen this season. Al Minerva asked the question, Austin, would you trade for Tarek Skubal? I would, even with the surgery. I'm not doing that yet. If you haven't heard, Tarek Skubal going under the same surgery that Edwin Diaz is going under at right now, which means he's going to be out for the next couple of months. So the question is, will the Tigers trade Tarek Skubal because he's going to be out for a couple of months? They're going to have to find a way to win without Tarek Skubal, or are they wanting to continue down the path that they have? I still think the price is going to be astronomically high for Skubal. The question is, how does he fit into the Dodgers starting rotation mix? And right now, the Dodgers have a really good starting rotation. And who would he kick out of the playoff starting rotation? Let's say that you have Ohtani, you have Snell, you have Yamamoto, and you have Glasnow. Who do you kick out? Do you kick out Glasnow? That probably would have been the answer before the season. But Glasnow has been unreal this season. And a lot of the numbers suggest that it will continue to do that. Shohei Ohtani has a sub-1 ERA. Yamamoto, you can't kick out Yamamoto after what he did last year. Blake Snell, we haven't seen it quite yet for Blake Snell, but you would still anticipate Blake Snell to be really solid. I'm holding at this point with Tarek Skubal. If there are injuries, perhaps it could be tempting to do that, or you might just want to wait and hold on to some of the chips right now, and especially because you don't know what you're going to get with a Tarek Skubal. Those are some of my initial thoughts, although you guys probably know a little bit more hesitant on some of the trade routes with that, especially when it comes to areas that might not be as much of a need. If there's some type of injury, though, absolutely, that has to be in consideration, especially with the pieces that the Dodgers have. Let's see. Honey Oates, DePaula looks like a superstar type of build. Got a question, is Cam Leiter legit? I haven't seen a ton of Cam Leiter, I'm going to be honest. Just had the ability to see a couple of different highlights. Once he makes it to Great Lakes, then I'll have a chance to be able to evaluate him a little bit more. Craig Osterberg, DePaula might have some Ken Griffey Jr. in him. If he does, holy cow, that'd be great. Al Minerva, Nicolas Cruz, which, by the way, thank you for helping us out with that interview with Nicolas. 23.6 swing strike percentage, 4th in minor league baseball pitchers with 10 innings pitched. Craig Osterberg, can any of these outfield prospects in the future play infield? Hope, DePaula, George, Mike Sirota. None of them have at this point, and so I wouldn't anticipate it unless it's maybe a first base type of option. Although, to my understanding, from everything that I've seen, they have not tried it out yet. I think they're trying to keep them in the outfield at this point because I believe that is how the organization sees as the best path for them going forward. None of them, though, have even tried playing something like second base or third base or the infield. I think they just have a lot of really talented outfield type of prospects, and they'll be able to do that going forward. Almanova, Crochet might be available. Boston is a firehouse, although I think Crochet is dealing with some injuries right now, so I don't know if he would be even available to be able to do that. We'll get back to some of those trade type of talks in the future type of episodes. I'm hoping to be able to do a show with Casey this week. I should be available a lot more. I'm not going to any of the games this week. Loons are playing in Lake County. For those of you who don't know, I travel a lot with the Great Lakes Loons high A squad of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I will not make the trip out to Lake County this week. Does not mean that series is not important. This is perhaps the biggest series of the year for the Great Lakes Loons. They're up 4 games in the Midwest League East ahead of Lake County, but this is the team that beat them to go to the Midwest League playoffs last year. And especially with the limited amount of time that they have with Mike Sirota, probably a limited amount of time with Logan Wagner, they want to take advantage of being able to win in the first half. And now is their chance to be able to get revenge on the team that beat them in the Midwest League playoffs last year. Going to be a big series to watch for them. Tulsa also is playing really good baseball. Watch out for them. And the Los Angeles Dodgers play baseball tonight. It is at 5:10 Pacific that the Dodgers are playing, or it's at 6:10 Pacific, I believe, that the Dodgers. I don't know what time. It's 8 o'clock Eastern, so it would be 5 o'clock Pacific is when the Dodgers are playing. Keep an eye out for that game. Hopefully, the Dodgers' offense against a team that they should have success against can have some success. Might take a little bit more of an impatient type of approach at the plate and being able to slug. Those are going to be some of the things that to be able to watch for the Dodgers offense. And then as an overall unit, as an overall team, while we can be concerned, the Dodgers lost a series to the Marlins and the Cardinals back-to-back, the team is still back-to-back World Series champions, and this team still has the talent to go win a 3rd straight title. And there's a lot of underlying results to suggest that they're right on pace to what they have been in the past, and that they will continue to have a whole lot of success going forward. It's still early. It's May 4th. Baseball is here, though. Dodgers baseball is here. And it is, and still, and always will be, a great day to be a Dodger. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back soon. Hopefully Wednesday night will be a little bit. I actually don't know what time the game is. I think it's an afternoon game. Maybe a little bit of a post-game type of action. Wednesday, talking Dodgers, Astros, probably be the next time that I'll be available for this. Casey and I will have more shows coming up. Be sure to tune in to all things Dodgers baseball. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. Go Dodgers.